Alright, so any of you who follow me on any of the social media that I never actually visit will have seen the announcement that this review was supposed to go up last Friday. Instead, it's going up Monday, with Monday being today, the day that this goes up, from y'all's perspective. Due to technical difficulties, those being that I accidentally deleted all of the raw footage needed to edit the video before actually saving the edited video. It was totally on me. I'm just kind of an idiot sometimes. I wanted to mention that here to make it clear why this review might feel a little quicker than my other reviews. It's not just because I honestly don't have a ton to say about this episode, that is true, but it's also because I've already recorded this once, and so logically speaking, my thoughts on it are going to be more concise and focused the second time through. That said, we are talking about The Love God, the 9th episode of the second season of Gravity Falls, I believe, in which Dipper and Mabel have been hanging out with Wendy and her very cool, very interesting friends. I do like them a lot. They have a good thing going, but as they're hanging out in a graveyard of all places, which is pretty awesome, they discover Robbie, and he is still super depressed over his breakup with Wendy. Dipper, kind of being motivated by selfishness because he doesn't want to lose the good thing he has going with Wendy and her friends, wants to just leave Robbie to get over Wendy in his own time. Robbie's a teenager. Teenagers go through hard breakups, and then they learn to overcome the depression that comes as a result of that. It's one of the things you have to learn if you intend to be in relationships with people as you grow older. But Mabel, being Mabel, she sees herself as an expert matchmaker, and so decides to fix up Robbie with Wendy's gothy female friend. Crap, I literally just looked up her name, and I already can't remember it. Tambry, and also apparently she's shipped with Dipper a lot? Gravity Falls fandom is weird. Y'all are weird. Like, good weird, but still weird. Anyway, she tries to fix them up by setting them up on something like a blind date, but it doesn't work. However, meanwhile, a guy known as the Love God, a singer and performer in a music festival that is getting ready to go on in town, shows up at the diner where Mabel set Robbie and Tambry up on their date, and he is revealed to Mabel, at least, to be an actual love god, an actual Cupid, one of the pudgy, winged cherubs that you see on Valentine's Day cards and stuff. He has a bunch of vials of various kinds of love potion, including a sort of love potion antidote called a anti-love potion. Mabel tries to get him to let her use some of his love potion, but he makes the point of telling her that using magic to force people to love each other when you don't know 100% what you're doing is very dangerous. It can ruin friendships and mess up people's lives forever. But Mabel, even though she literally just failed at matchmaking, is still so convinced that she is a matchmaking expert that she steals some of the love potion and uses it to fix up Robbie and Tambry. And just as the Love God predicted, it completely decimates Wendy's circle of friends. Turns out one of the other guys in their friendship circle had a thing for Tambry and doesn't appreciate Robbie taking her away from him. And it turns out Wendy doesn't like to see her friend Tambry dating her ex. And yes, as the episode progresses, they do start to get over this. They do start to come back together as friends, and it even looks like Robbie is going to be reabsorbed into that circle of friends. But I still have major issues with this entire scenario that I'll talk about in just a moment. Seeing Wendy's circle of friends fall apart because of what happened, Dipper and Mabel try to get their hands on the anti-love potion so that they can use it on Robbie and Tambry and turn them back to normal. The Love God interferes. They have a big chase through the music festival. Stan's got a thing going on in the background too, but once again, I didn't really find it interesting enough to talk about much here. It's pretty funny, like, you'll enjoy it in the episode itself. It's just not worth talking about in the review. So they have a chase. Dipper and Mabel end up getting the anti-love potion and getting to Robbie and Tambry, and then the stupidest thing in the show so far happens. They see that Robbie and Tambry are happy, so they don't use the anti-love potion to undo the literal brainwashing, the literal magic brainwashing that was done to them. And like, you may see this as a non-issue because no one is getting hurt here. I even mentioned already that the circle of friends starts to come back together, so it looks like everything's gonna be fine there too. But I have a huge problem with the message of this episode. Like, ideally, this should have been the perfect episode for me. It had a really nonsense story, a big Mabel involvement, lots of silly gags. Wendy's really hilarious and awesome circle of friends were featured heavily in it, and I really like them. And I will admit, coming into this episode, I didn't really care about Robbie and his feelings. I don't really like Robbie. I see him more as an antagonistic force than someone I should feel sorry for, but that is not why I don't like the way that this episode ends. Assuming that the Love God is not exaggerating and he is literally a god, that this universe has gods, and that he is one of the gods who is responsible for making people fall in love, then we have to assume that he doesn't just think that two people would be good for each other. He knows when two people are meant for each other. And I know there's not much of a distinction there, but there's enough of a distinction that it bothers me that Mabel literally brainwashed people through magic to do something that they otherwise never would have done, at least not at this point in their lives, just because she thought they would work well together. And yeah, most examples in fiction of people brainwashing people, it's for a much more nefarious reason than this. What Mabel did here isn't like in Avatar: The Last Airbender when we found out that the people of Ba Sing Se were being brainwashed by the government. But Mabel still stripped them of their free will in this circumstance and forced them to do something that they didn't want to do. That happiness that the two of them are displaying in that scene where she and Dipper decide not to undo what she did is false. It's built on brainwashing and lies. And I'm sorry, the right choice here, objectively speaking, would have been to undo what Mabel did. What Mabel did was a violation of these people, and allowing it to go on was wrong. I have no idea how the fandom thinks of this episode, and I'm not saying that you're wrong for liking this episode. If you really like this episode, if it's your favorite episode of the show, there's nothing wrong with that. You can interpret what happened as Mabel actually legitimately being such a good matchmaker that she knew that the two of them belonged together, but I just don't interpret it that way. So the whole situation ends up rubbing me the wrong way. I don't know, I'll be really interested to see what the comments have to say about this one. And I guess that's all I really need to say about the episode. So guys, if you have seen this episode, what did you think about it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.